everybody.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
I am Janae Strother.
I'm Sean Spencer.
We are back.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen.
I gotta go out and hold up.
Come on. The lion. The lion.
All right. I am Janae Strother.
I am Sean Spencer.
And this is Let's Talk Football.
I know you want your football, and I refuse to let you down. Even I have to beg and plead for you to listen to me. I don't mind because I got so much to see. Let's talk football, the round table. Let's go, baby. What's going on? It's your boy, Sean Spencer. What have the dynamic duo that's Let's Talk Football and 1/4 of the fearsome foursome. That is Let's Talk Football.
You gotta call Janae to make you a jingle.
Right.
Yeah,
you need a jingle.
Okay.
You need a song.
I'm telling you, any of y'all producers, any of y'all music people out there need a jingle, man. I'm ready to sing. Let me know what we got, baby.
Jingle.
What's going on, guys? How are we doing today? Hold up. I got to do my guys justice. I'm the co-host to my main man. Bring me the smoke, Nick Rosario, the lovely Latina Delilah Crespo, and my man Nathan Snell. What's
There
up?
it is.
How we doing today?
There it is. That's right. It's a hell of an introduction. Thank you.
Great. I love it.
I like the energy.
I gotta bring the energy. I gotta bring
absolutely. Yeah.
Bring it all.
We already got people watching us. What's up, Mandy? What's going on, Cam? How y'all doing? Hey, look, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna come right with the stuff. I have to start real quick. And I have to say, recently, Elgin Baylor, the Hall of Fame, one of the great NBA legends, passed away recently. And any of y'all that follow basketball, that follow basketball history, know how amazing he was. And it pains my heart. Nick, you said something the last time we were on with one of our shows we were on. You were saying how some of our legends we get older and some of our legends are passing away now, and it's kind of like,
oh yeah, it's terrible.
It sucks.
It sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks. Getting older sometimes, that's one of the bad parts of life, right? As you get older, unfortunately, some people pass on. And, as a kid, when you hear about these guys, you hear, part of that Laker, mystique, Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, these guys. So as a kid, this is what you remember, and this is what So yeah, as it starts to go, and people, as you get older, and you go, oh wow, that really sucks. It's just one of those things. But I mean, obviously, Elgin Baylor, everybody, like, again, if you follow basketball, if you don't follow basketball, I suggest you Google Elgin Baylor. You will find out a ton, my friend. So
exactly.
I would definitely do that.
And this guy was a legend. Delilah, like, this is one of the things I know we're Let's Talk Football, the round table, but we got to show love for these legends.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. So it's crushing. You know what I mean? Any of y'all got any memories or anything? Again, he was before all of our time.
Yeah,
it was before our time, but again, you hear the story. My dad obviously saw Elgin Baylor. So when if you've asked my father, hey, who are some of the best players you saw? He would probably tell you that Elgin Baylor was one of them. So I mean,
he was up there.
You get stories passed down. The way he played, what a great guard he was, this and that. And all those Laker teams back then, the Lakers were a dominant team for years.
Right.
So
and look, and Nathan, like this is a part of history. In my mind, this is a part of history. These are guys that are up there with the Alis, with the Marvelous Markets, the older guys that a lot of people aren't learning about these days, man, and it stinks. Nathan.
That's for sure. I think for me, Elgin Baylor, the stories my dad told me about him, I think he was one of the last undersized guys of his position. He's really known for that bank shot. I've seen, YouTube clips.
Yeah.
not just as a basketball player, but just as a good person. I know his basketball career was kind of overshadowed by his being a GM for the Los Angeles Clippers, and I know
Right.
what he had to deal with with Donald Sterling, and I think that kind of overshadowed what he did in the NBA. But I think he's, in my personal opinion, I think he's one of the most underappreciated, excuse me, ball players of all time. Jerry West, when I heard the news, the first person I thought about was Jerry West, because this was his teammate for almost like 14, 15 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So and again, great Laker teams. To me, I think he's one of the greatest 50 players of all time, and it's just sad. We're just, like you said it before. We're losing a lot of good people. That's touched a lot of hearts around the world. Thoughts and prayers.
So shout out to his family, man. Shout out to the late great Elgin Baylor, man. You will be missed. Definitely want to spend a little bit of time to say we will miss you. Thanks for everything you did on this side of glory. And shout out to your family and all that. But we have to get into football. We are the Roundtable. Let's talk football, the Roundtable. And ladies and gentlemen, unless you've been living under a rock, you did not know. There is a blockbuster trade. The Miami's, man, they make it out like fat cats right now. Miami Dolphins made a trade for their third spot with the 49ers to get to 12. Then traded with the Eagles to move back up to 6. Nick, you just did your mock draft. This just put the landmine in the middle of all of it. Everything has just been blown out of proportion. What up, Nick?
It's blown now because here's the thing. San Francisco did something that people weren't sure. They were like, "Yeah, this team can move up. This team can move up." But when you first move up 9 spots to you end up at number 3, and you already have a quarterback. What does that tell you? Because you don't give up a couple of first-round picks, a third round, and this to move up 9 spots to just take anybody at number 3. You're looking at a quarterback. Yeah. Let's be honest. That's just a 4-year-old could figure that out. And that's the thing. Obviously they're not sold on Jimmy G, but they're also probably smartly thinking, "Oh, we'll draft a quarterback. Jimmy can start this year, and we'll see how it goes." You let the kid come along and learn a little bit, see what happens. Mm-hmm. Because again, with anything, quarterback is nowadays quarterback is the most important position on a football field, right? Yeah. Everything lives and dies with the quarterback. So now that you've got number 3, well, let's see. Draft effectiveness here. We got number 3. You're looking at, everybody's talking about quarterbacks going, and it's pretty much looks like a lockdown that number 1 is Trevor Lawrence and number 2 is Zach Wilson of the Jets. So who does that leave you sitting at number 3? Well, it leaves a couple of people, but important piece of information. I'll tell on real quick because I know Delilah's got the NFC West info later.
You're good.
But
all right.
When you decide that you're going, the GM of the 49ers decides to skip Justin Fields' pro day to go see Mac Jones' pro day, that's got to tell you something. So apparently they're looking at Mac Jones at number 3, which, if you remember my mock draft, Sean, that leaves your Washington Redskins to pick somebody else. So there you go. Now you can be happy.
Hey, it's all great.
He's not going to be there for you, right? So there you go.
You made his net. You made his net.
Magic.
He's happy now. Yeah.
In the same token, as I thought before, if the Dolphins didn't take a quarterback, which they're not, they're obviously going with Tua, they would pick Jamar Chase at 3. Well, now you could probably get Jamar Chase at 6. Because the way it's going now, it looks like we could have 4 straight quarterbacks going in this draft.
Yeah.
And number 5, again, since they're the Bengals, you got to take Penei Sewell then. You need an offensive tackle. He's the best one available in the draft. So at number 6 there, Dolphins can still get Jamar Chase. You got your receiver. You've got your quarterback. You've got 8,000 picks in the next 3 drafts. Like, you're all good. And San Francisco drops back to Miami. The Jets drop back to 12. God, I'm so confused with this draft pick. The
Eagles.
I'm down.
Dolphins.
Eagles go to 12. Right. Eagles go to 12, which now opens up the opportunity for them to pick up maybe Michael Parsons at linebacker. This opens up a couple of other things for them to do. So again, everybody kind of made out in this deal because everybody kind of gets now what they wanted.
Right.
When you look at it, now they have the opportunity. They're in place to kind of get what they want. So, hey, more power to all of them. And you know what this does? It prevents not that they were really candidates for this, but it prevents my hometown Bears from pretty much being able to make a move to move up to draft someone. Because now you just that trade just blew everything out of the water. There's nothing you could give up now that anybody would take for you to move up. So that pretty much just bombed the Bears from doing anything either. So there you go.
Done. Yeah.
Right. You got nothing. You got nothing.
Yeah.
You didn't have anything to begin with, but now you got nothing.
But now you got nothing. And shout out to Nick, because later on tonight, he's going to give us an analysis of the NFC North, culminating with his Chicago Bears. And I want to hear this because, Nick seems to be a little passionate about this. Just a tad bit passionate.
I don't even. I have no words. I have words later.
Right.
Who's next?
Delilah,
Go ahead. Who's next?
I got to come to you, Delilah, because as Nick mentioned, now 49ers moved up to this spot. Now, obviously, unless there's somebody else that strikes them, they're going to get a quarterback.
For sure.
But they have Jimmy G. Now, there's been this speculation that Jimmy G might possibly go back.
No, that was squashed, apparently, already, through a lot of the sources, the ones that actually people trust, like Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, right? They basically shot that down. New England, they signed Cam Newton. They're gonna give him his other season. Makes sense, right? Last season, we know it wasn't a stellar thing, but let's be honest, right? New team, whole Bill Belichick's system is not for everyone. Mm-hmm. It's a whole different, it's just we know, right? He's made winning teams, not just at the Patriots. I think people just think of him at the Patriots, but that's not where he started, So he's used to being on a winning team, or at least one that's competitive, right? That you have to beat to be a winner, right? And so he's gonna stick with Cam. They're gonna do what they're gonna do with Cam Newton. Jimmy's staying over here in San Francisco. So they're gonna give him one more season as well to see, what they could do, what he can do. Especially since they're bringing back the majority of the core guys. The 49ers spent more time during the trade and free agency re-signing a lot of their O-line, a lot of their defensive guys that really made their team. We know we didn't see them go too far, but to be honest, the whole North is a sloppy mess anyway. So
West. Yeah.
And so I think now they're okay, we got our guy. Let's get a backup, like Nick was saying. That way we have someone in place for the future, because that is how you should think, right? And, whether it's Mac Jones, if that's, it might be who they end up picking, or it might be Zach Wilson if he's still there, right? Because that's the other quarterback that people have been mentioning. Zach Wilson has been mentioned, maybe because we don't know if Zach Wilson will go second or third, because Justin Fields, teams are... Every draft we go, we know the only person we know for sure is going first is Lawrence, right?
Trevor Lawrence, right?
That's it. And that it's maybe it will be Zach Wilson, or it could be Justin Fields. Who knows, right? It's very possible, because you do have a lot of talented quarterbacks in this draft, right? And so who knows what number they may actually go, but they're definitely getting a quarterback. Okay, 100%.
Now, Delilah, then let me ask you this, though. Is this like a Ryan Fitzpatrick Miami situation where he's looking at Tua over his shoulder?
If I'm Jimmy, I would. Oh, yeah, if I'm Jimmy. If I'm Jimmy, yes, I would be 100%. That's going to be a very interesting situation, right? Because he's older, and we already know how that works, right? Older quarterbacks don't always mesh with the guy that they know is here to take over your job, right? We already know. We've seen it now work out. But you're still supposed to be that leader, even if you hate it, even if you want to chew broken glass, first.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's gonna be looking over his shoulder for sure. Because as soon as he's not putting in what the coach feels, the management feels, they're gonna put this kid in to see what he could do. And I don't blame them, because if you're gonna move up to third to draft quarterback, and your more seasoned quarterback isn't really doing for the offense what you expected him to do, what you re-signed him for, yeah, you're gonna put in the new stud. See what
Right.
he could do with the offense. We're definitely going to see whoever they draft. We'll see him play the off season, right? We're going to see him in the preseason because we're going to see whoever they draft. We're going to see this kid play the preseason games. Now, I don't know if there's something. I don't know if we actually didn't talk about this, but the NFL is thinking of making a 17 game, right? I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yes.
They're thinking of doing it by not extending the season but shortening the preseason, right? And so, yeah, so one of the plans was to readjust the preseason and make that shorter in order to add that 17th game because they don't want to play into mid-February, right, for the Super Bowl and all that stuff. But it's not set in stone. But most, that's another. That's gonna be something else that's gonna be different if it does happen. Right. But yeah, we're gonna see the kid, whoever they draft. We're definitely gonna see him on that field during the preseason, and if Jimmy isn't doing his job in the regular season, he is gonna be. Yeah, he's gonna be in that game. He's gonna be in that game.
And shout out to him. I mean, hey, you had an opportunity. You picked up a spot. You still have your starter, but you have an opportunity to potentially get somebody major. And what are teams looking for? Teams are looking for the Kyler Murray. They're looking for the Tua. They're looking for that young guy that's going to come and change the day. But and I think what this really, Nathan, I'm coming to you. What this really puts a spotlight on is if you have a number one pick or multiple number one picks, you can move up and you can make it this year. You can do an executive order and say, hey, I got 3 number ones in the next couple of years. I want your spot. So what does this mean for Miami? Like, was this a good business move for Miami?
I believe it was because, one, I think it shows that the Dolphins have faith in Tula for sure. Yeah. And then also, too, you got to give Chris, my name, Geyer, the GM, you have to give him props. Of how he is building this franchise.
And put Flores in there too.
Brian Flores is too. Coach. Brian for sure. I never thought how a bong. I was reading an article. The title was like how a bong can change the landscape.
Right. Exactly.
It was just a side note, I believe the Ravens were going to draft him. Yeah, for sure. I said, okay, Tons was going to be drafted by us. And then when that photo leaked out, Ronnie Stanley. But no, in all seriousness, though, I'm sorry, I had to bring that up.
You're right. We were talking about that. I want to talk about that.
I think it shows good faith in Tula. Mm-hmm. I don't really understand where this notion was, well, he's not developed. He's not what we thought he was. Keep in mind, this is a guy that came off a hip injury while he was at Bama. Right. And then on top of that, him, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and, they were not really, Ryan Fitzpatrick was like, oh, you're benching me for this guy.
Right, yeah, like I
said. And then he's now in Washington. So I think that it shows that the Dolphins, like I said, they have faith in Tula. Yeah. Now, and again, they could possibly get a wide receiver play alongside Devontae Parker. Right. And I can't remember the other 2 cats. But for the 49ers, if I could talk about that, Sean, if that's okay. Yeah. I think if you're the 49ers, I think you also won this trade because I think I hate to say this, but Jimmy Garoppolo has a tendency not to stay healthy. And I mean, when healthy, the San Francisco 49ers are right there. Right. But if you're John Lynch, you got to look. You have to look 3-5 years down the road. Right. Can I win a championship with this guy? No disrespect to Jimmy Garoppolo.
No, you're right. I'm with you, though. I agree.
It's at the end of the day, he has to think about the future. So I think this year, this is a what they're going to do with Sam Darnold, if that's the case. Right. Have him and then draft a quarterback and then say, well, thank you for your service.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So I think this is a both.
I agree, and the 49ers have a young coach too, right? Shanahan is a young guy too, and so the younger coaches also mentally are a little different. Like we're seeing that, right? We're seeing kind of how they coach, like a different kind of mentality of how to approach a game, how to connect with some of these kids, especially the kids coming out of college, right? So we'll see. I agree with you,
Well,
Nate. I think both those teams won this trade so far. So far, free agency
So
looks,
far, yeah.
looks
Where
pretty
was San
good.
Francisco a couple years ago, everyone?
What?
A couple of plays away from winning a Super Bowl.
They were.
Well,
That's what I'm
so
saying.
don't
Yeah.
think-
That was on Greg Roman. We know that.
Hold up.
Don't think that that's not. Yeah, don't think that that's not in the back of their mind, and that
Of
they're in the
course.
win now
For
mode
sure.
as well. You know what I mean?
Now look,
Always.
now to that point, in that championship game, how many passes did Garoppolo? And this is towards your point of getting a quarterback. How many passes did Garoppolo throw in the championship game? He threw 6. You know what I mean?
6 only? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And then in the Super Bowl, or the 6 or 8. And then in the Super Bowl, they really did. I mean, they were up 10, like you said. They had a chance to win, and they gave it up late in the game. That was on them. But they need that quarterback. And the fact that they moved up to make this move to get a quarterback says 2 things. Says, one, Garoppolo, you're on a leash and your days are numbered potentially, unless you bring us back to that point. And 2, whoever this new guy is, you're going to come in early. Even if they just bring you in for a certain package or something like that, they're going to bring you in early because, like you said, Nick, they're not going to sit here and make all these moves to come up here and get a receiver or a lineman. You know what I mean? They're going for a few games.
Well, that's why it makes sense too, because you also want a quarterback who's NFL ready. And if you look at the list of these guys who are coming out outside of Trevor Lawrence, you go with Mac Jones, who's probably the most ready in terms of NFL, right? So in that regard, it does make sense. And again, you want to win now, but you're going to give it right. You said you're going to start Jimmy G. It looks like he's still there. And again, they could throw us all for a swerve and they draft somebody else. I don't think so, but wouldn't that just be fun if they decided? Yeah, there you go. Draft Todd Sauerbrunn. Remember when the Bears took their first round pick of the punter? We won't talk about that. But all I'm saying is, I think the 49ers know what they want to do. They're ready to win now, and I think they've got a plan, and now they've executed it, and all is well with the world.
Right. It was a deliberate move. And Nathan, real quick, Nathan, I'm gonna come to you. Got to shout out Cameron Crump talking about, hey, give Jimmy another year and see if he can stay healthy, just like what you said, Nathan. Nick, Wendy said, I'm mad at you for what you said about her Badgers. I'm mad at your Badgers, Wendy, so get out of here.
What did I say about Wisconsin? What did I say bad about the Badgers?
That they wouldn't make it after the first round. After they knocked us out there.
It
was true, right? It was true.
I still love you, Wendy, but I was just telling the truth. If you want smoke, that's a different story. But I told you that was going to happen. I'm just saying, right? I just told you that was going to happen.
What were you saying?
Well, also for their plan for the 49ers to work, let's also keep in mind they lost some key pieces last year due to injuries. So it really wasn't just not just Jimmy Garoppolo, but they had a lot of injuries. So I think also too, it could be a quarterback, but also too, we might have to start. San Francisco is going to have to start thinking, like Nick said, it's win now, or do we just say, you know what? Let's just build it from the scratch and start over again. So that's also something San Francisco has to think about.
Right. Yes. And at the end of the day, I mean, the Dolphins obviously came out like fat cats. San Francisco, depending on the pick that they make, I mean, they could really come out this thing the winner too.
I mean, if they go with Mac Jones, like Nick is saying that he saw the report side, I don't know. But I know we're joking and we're making fun and stuff like that. But like, I want that kid to come out and surprise everyone just because of all the negative press he's getting. Like, I want him to do good. I want this kid to be like, fine. If he gets drafted by the 49ers, I hope he comes out and just like shuts all the haters up. Like, I think that happens though.
So, Mac Jones, you have a supporter in Miss Delilah Crespo.
Yeah, come on, kid. Let's do this.
I have to shout out Nick, because like Nick said, we've talked about Alabama quarterbacks and their history, but right now in the league, you have 2 starting quarterbacks. And both of them are represented in this trade.
Alabama Crimson Tide.
That's right, exactly. So shout out to him for sure, because let's see what happens. I'll probably be made to eat my words later because I know Mac could probably do something dominant. But I got to get off this because it's depressing me. Watch it all day, baby. Let's go. We have to move on. We have to move on. And this on Monday is the last show that we will be doing as in the month of March, being it Women's History Month. So for the last Women's History Month, we're gonna come to diversity with Delilah.
All right, yeah. Woo.
Katie Sowers. What's up, Delilah?
Hey, all right, yeah. So, all right. So I had to make sure that we talk about Katie Sowers because she was actually the first woman to coach in a Super Bowl when the 49ers, who we're talking about, lost, as we know, to the Kansas City Chiefs, right? She was the first woman to actually coach in an NFL. You know, we saw this past Super Bowl, there were 2 women, right? Like, which was already groundbreaking, but she was the first one to officially coach as a offensive assistant coach. So that's the team she was on. And yeah, so that's kind of what she's known for. But there's a little bit of her background. Born and raised in Kansas, in a very small, rural, kind of conservative Midwest town. The reason I say that is because she dealt with a lot of discrimination because she also, while in college, came out. And so she explained in an interview that she actually lost out a coaching position because of her sexual orientation.
What?
Yeah. And so, but now at another Christian college, Goshen College, which is a small Christian school in Indiana.
Yeah.
That's where she got her bachelor's degree from, was at Goshen. Physical education. You know me, I like teachers. So her BA is in physical education. She went and got her master's degree at the University of Central Missouri. That's where she got her master's in kinesiology, which obviously she would need as, you know, someone that actually does strengthening and fitness in the NFL. But yeah, so she was talking about how she actually lost out coaching, and it was only a volunteer coaching position at that. But because of her sexual orientation in college, she was not allowed to coach. And so, yeah, so that's unfortunate. But, you know, but obviously we saw she's, you know, she enjoyed some successes. Sowers also played on the American football team, you know, the women's league that has popped up a few times, you know, like as I've been diving into this, like a lot of the women's football team has popped up a lot in my research. And now I'm interested. I got to make sure I follow them more. But yeah, so she actually played for the Alliance. So that she was also on that winning team on the 2013 women's team, which we learned from last year. We were talking about Jen Welter. She was on that same team, that championship team. She played quarterback for the Kansas City Titans. Yeah. So, you know, so she's got football. So she has football experience as not just as a coach, but as a player. She played until she retired from football because of a hip injury. She was part of that when the NFL, that I keep talking about, they kind of launched this diversity kind of internship program again to get more, not just women, but especially women, but, you know, trying to get more people of color, you know, all these kinds of things to get, you know, into the NFL and coaching, you know, all these different positions. And so that's how she started. Sowers also was an assistant coach in the 2017 season for the San Francisco 49ers. So she's the second full-time coach, because I talked about Jen last week. So she would be considered the second one. She actually interned for the Atlanta Falcons, and then she was hired by the San Francisco 49ers under Shanahan. So obviously we saw he was the offensive coordinator at the time, and now he's the current coach of the San Francisco 49er. But she was part of the Bill Walsh NFL Coaching Diversity Fellowship. So that's the program that she was in. And so she retired, though, from the NFL completely right now. I don't know if she'll ever come back to the NFL, but she said she was grateful for the few years that she spent in it. But currently she's retired. So, but Katie Sowers.
Nice. Nice. Shout out. And look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so glad that she brought Katie Sowers up. We talked Jen King. We talked Jen Welter. We talked a number of females that are in the game.
Coaching.
They're coaching. We talked about them, some being owners. We talked now getting at on being the officials. Like, this is progress. This is big things that are happening right now, and we're becoming more of an open league where it's if you can do the job,
right,
you can be hired.
Right.
it's not
You know what I
perfect.
mean?
Yep,
You know
that's
this,
true.
trust me.
Well, right,
but
But at this, and Delilah, you mentioned it actually before in the previous
Yes.
segment. We were talking about a lot of younger people are being brought into the game. A lot of guys that aren't 50, 60, 70, but they've been in the game 20, just a little bit, maybe not as much, not as long as the older guys, but
Right.
they have a fresh new outlook.
Mhm.
That's what a lot of these females also are bringing into the game is a fresh
I
new
want to
outlook.
see a head coach. I want to see a female head coach.
In
Like
due time,
I
I'm
want to
telling
see
you.
that.
I'm sure one day you will.
It will
I'm sure
happen.
one day
It will
it'll
certainly
happen.
happen. And I
think that'd be
cannot wait.
amazing.
I cannot wait. Let's go. So, thank you, Delilah. This has been
You're welcome.
another segment of Diversity with Delilah. Katie Sowers, happy
Yes.
Women's History Month to you and to all the amazing women in this world. Shout out to you guys from Let's Talk Football, the Roundtable. Yay, yay. All right, we got to move on. Guys, it's getting closer to the draft, but there is a lot of stuff going on right now. And over these last couple weeks, there's been a lot of moves that have been made. And I'm going to go ahead and start. And we're going to spotlight each of the 4 divisions in the NFC. And I'm going to start with my NFC East. And we're not the least anymore because we've been making big moves, baby. Let's go. Let's go. So look, you know where I got to start. Shout out to my man Nate who said it earlier. Hey, we signed the Magic. It's Magic. What's going on? If y'all saw me on Washington Football Week, you know how excited I am. I know. Listen, Fitz is only going to give us like 6 games. He's going to give us 6 games and then he's going to fall off. It's fine. But I'll take those 6 games. We made it to the playoffs last year with 4 separate quarterbacks, one of which likes to hang out during a pandemic at strip clubs without a mask.
There you go.
I will take 6 games right now. Nate, I see your face. Listen, I see your face. I have been around the block. I've seen what happens to my guys. Okay? I see what happens to my guys. This is about the long term. Okay? I'm going to get off my team.
His facial expressions were amazing. I love that.
Later.
His face said it all.
Look, we not only did that, and the reason why, you got to understand, we're adults about this. So we're not playing the Madden thing. We're playing financial and fiscally responsible. Okay? Fitz ain't our guy. Fitz is going to retire after this year. We already know. But he's better than Heineke. Okay? We got Kyle Allen. We let go of Alex Smith. Heineke's played 1 game. Don't even give me that look. And you're sitting up here with Lamar Jackson looking at me like this. Get out of here. So we've got that. We're focused on securing the defense. Okay, we signed a couple of our players. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and look at it. Danny Johnson, Jared Norris, just to keep things going with their depth. Okay, we got Curtis Samuel.
I like that move.
Okay, Curtis Samuel was solid.
Right, that was a good one.
We signed back with Lamar Miller. We signed him back. William Jackson on defense. William Jackson III from the Bengals. Only 3 interceptions, but a big long corner. They can help. Yeah, they can help us move a little better than Darby, in my opinion. But it helps secure up. It helps secure up that secondary. We lost a couple people. Not gonna lie, we lost Ryan Anderson, linebacker. He went to New York Giants. Another team.
Ryan Anderson wasn't really that great.
He was. Again, yes, he wasn't that great. But if he was on my team, I love you. I got a feel for you, man. If you leave us, it hurts my heart, man. Let me talk about my boy. Okay?
I just don't think he fit that system. In my personal opinion.
He wouldn't have started, and that's the thing. I completely agree. He would not have started. Got a shout out. And so my Washington, I think we're doing things quietly. I think we're moving slow like lasagna. We're just kind of, letting it happen, just kind of slowly making things happen. We're not making these splashes. I think we're going to really work into this draft and figure this thing out. The team that has been making noise in the NFC East is the New York Giants. Like I said, Ryan Anderson, who knows? He could have potential. Maybe the system they run is going to be different from ours, and he could have some potential. I don't know. But they also picked up John Ross, Kenny Galladay, Kyle Rudolph, just to beef up that offense, man. Now, they let go, and we discussed this on our last show, that they let go of Zeitler. their own linemen.
Kevin Zettler.
Right. So I am kind of I think that is suspect because Daniel Jones, who was led the league in turnovers a couple years back, I think they need to solidify that O-line because they let a couple guys go, and that I think is going to be an issue. But they have been making some noise. Re-signed Leonard Williams, speaking of which. So shout out to them. They've made some noise, but they always seem to stay in the same place. They get Saquon back this year. And I believe they actually picked up somebody else. Maybe it was
Adoree Jackson.
Adoree Jackson from corner. Exactly. So I like the moves that they're making. They've been the ones making a lot of splashes in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Right. However, I still think there are certain positions like that O-line that they really need to focus on. I like that they got Leonard Williams back on the D-line, but I do think they also need to focus on that as well. So I'm eager to see what they do in the draft. Moving on to
Say I like them to go out there tight end. I like Evan Ingram, but that boy was dropped way too many passes for me.
Well, they picked up Kyle Rudolph from Minnesota. I like what he's got, but he's a little older. So I agree with you that if they can potentially get a tight end, I think that might help them out a little bit.
Kyle's gonna help though, because Kyle comes through in like weird ways. Like he's solid, right? You know that like. He's gonna catch the ball, right? Like
he made Kirk Cousins look decent. He made Kirk Cousins look decent with some of them catches. Let's go out there and say it. All right,
you and Kirk Cousins, you'll never forgive him.
No, I will not. I will not. Okay, because if we can be a team with no name that beats Cowboys twice, and Kirk can sit there and throw for 4,000 plus yards and can't beat the damn Cowboys, no, he's always gonna have an issue. Enjoy Minnesota, because you know what? I don't like that. See, you got me on a tangent here.
I know I got
Daggone Kirk. I hope we play him.
Just letting you go, bro. Just go.
I hope we play him. Right?
There you go. Just keep going.
So, got to shout out. Okay, next on the list, my mortal enemy, the Dallas Cowboys. We already know what they did by they re-signed Dak Prescott. We also know that they let go of Andy Dalton. So if Dak gets hurt, Danucci and all these garbage quarterbacks, yay. They let go of Aldon Smith, which I get it fiscally. He didn't do anything after the start of the year. And that Seattle game, he had 3 sacks and he had 5 total in those first couple games, but then kind of fell off the rotation, got hurt a little bit. But outside of that, Dallas also got Keanu Neal from the Atlanta Falcons. Now, he's a safety, but they're potentially thinking about putting him down in linebacker, like a rover type position where he stays closer to the line, stays in the box a little bit more. I like that. I think it's solid. But they have been they've been relatively quiet. For the most part, they've been really restructuring a lot of the contracts and a lot of the things in Dallas because they had to make room for their $40 million quarterback. You know what I mean? 126 guaranteed to that guy. So I think the bigger news in Dallas is the potential friction and the potential issues in the front office. Let's hope for. I'm wishing for that. I'm just saying. And then we got to go to the last team on this list, Philly. We talked about them before. Philadelphia, the Eagles. They're part of this trade. They get moved back to 12th. I think that hopefully they'll use this in the right way. Jalen Hurts is their starter. They picked up the once great Super Bowl MVP, Joe Flacco. The Magic, baby. I should have seen your face. They picked him up.
I don't like. First of all, and thank you for bringing it. I want to call out Ab Lowe for making me for making this. And I hit it on Joe Flacco. First and foremost, I appreciated what Joe Flacco has done for our franchise. But I saw those last 3, particularly when he got that $120 million contract. Yeah. Joe Flacco, to me, got his money. Did not show me he was capable of being a leader.
Yeah.
Okay. Joe Flacco, I understand.
He's talking smack already. He's talking smack. Like he just tweeted out.
Joe Flacco is a great quarterback. You put the right weapons around him. I think he to me he could be a good quarterback. But I mean, this is a guy that.
I mean, he won a Super Bowl. I can't hate on that, right? He won a Super Bowl.
Come on now, this is Joe Flacco. He was 30. Okay, but he's like 36 now.
Yeah.
Now.
It's a different Joe Flacco, is funny.
He said, "I'm not just some old guy. Like he's already out there stirring the pot."
Apparently,
he's
Philly.
Like Nick, he wants the smoke.
He wants the smoke. Hey, apparently, Philly
thought with the Jets.
Hey, right. But apparently Philly thinks that he still has it in him.
Right.
They're paying him $3.5 million to back up Jalen Hurts. I like this because now I think Jalen Hurts is going to get the starting job for sure. I just hope that they don't sit there and have a tight leash with Jalen and all of a sudden Flacco's coming in the game.
Right, outside he's in the game.
Right. I'll agree. I definitely will agree with you, Nate, that he's not 2012 Joe Flacco. That
I'm just saying he doesn't sound happy to be back up. That's what I'm saying. He's gonna get there. He is not. If you've been reading his interviews, if you've been seeing stuff, he's like, I'm not just some old guy. Because obviously he's being interviewed by all these like analysts, these sports guys, and they're all saying the same thing. The vibe that they're getting from him, he ain't okay with being backup. So I mean, we'll see what that. Yeah, we'll see what happens with the Eagles with that. Because
then I'm going to see him battle it out and see what he does then. Joe,
exactly. I agree.
That's what I was trying to tell you.
Wants to hear you, dude.
Sean.
It'll be like Fitzmagic and Tua. Now that's gonna be more like Fitzpatrick and Tua than in the 49ers. Like I really think that I think the Eagles gonna have more of that going on than what the Niners will, because it's just because Joe Flacco and who he is. He's already talking shit.
Right. and they're two different quarterbacks.
Let's be honest.
Right.
Yeah, they're two totally different quarterbacks.
Right. Flacco is a passer. Flacco can pass, and like you said, Nate, if Flacco has a team around him, Flacco could be a good quarterback. I mean, let's remember, he still came from Delaware State. This guy didn't come from Ohio State. So he knows he can work, with the system. He needs help.
He can quarterback a team with an A1 defense. Sure, I could do that. I'm getting the ball off to my running backs and spot pass whenever I want. My defense will do it for me. Come on.
Right. So he doesn't have that in Philly.
Don't start. Don't start. No.
I know you ain't talking back. Ain't nobody talking to you back, Joe. Ain't nobody talking to you back.
He's in that long list of quarterbacks that never should have won a Super Bowl, like Trent Dilfer and these guys. Don't even put Joe.
Look at Nate.
Don't even try it. Don't even try it.
Nate's not happy. Nate, come on, defender man. Come on, Nate.
Yeah. Have a good night. That was disrespectful.
Have a good night.
That was disrespectful.
Come on, Nate.
Yo,
you guys are disrespectful. Trent Dilfer had a great career in the NFL. What are you talking about?
Trent Dilfer and Flacco.
Trent. Wow, Trent.
Are two different quarterbacks. Do not do that. Don't do that.
That was disrespectful.
Rile up somebody, right? But
look, I'm coming to you, Nick. I'm coming to you about the North, though. You want to say anything else?
No, okay. Nate's already mad at me, so it doesn't matter. He wants to fight after this, so we're gonna have to go.
Check us out next week, because we're coming with the AFC side of all this. So when Nate comes with the Ravens, we are shredded. We're just coming out. What's up, Nate?
The rage is coming. I'm going to start hearing about Joe Flacco for the Hall of Fame or something.
Listen, I honestly, I agree with Nate though. Like, yes, we know we make the Joe Flacco jokes, but like, is he like the best quarterback ever? No, but he also isn't like Trent, like that.
Look at all the Trent Dilfer hate.
Doing
Super Bowl.
He needed to do. I just again. I watched those particularly last two seasons before when Lamar came. That team was 4-5. Him as a starter, they didn't want him. If that's how we knew he was done as a Raven. He's not. Come on now. I like Joe Flacco.
I know.
But come on now. That's disrespectful. Don't disrespect.
Is it though?
Joe.
Is it though?
Disrespectful.
If I put Doug Flutie on that team, would they have won a title?
No.
Flutie?
They don't?
Listen.
Doug Flutie?
Listen. You can't. Okay, and we're getting sidetracked. We're getting sidetracked here. But listen.
I just love how you're bringing up all these quarterbacks probably no one's ever heard of that had Super Bowl wins because they just had a better team around them. People are like, who's Doug? Trent?
Doug Flutie is a Canadian football legend. Don't you dismiss Doug Flutie?
That
He's a
Trent Dilfer
Canadian
team
football
had a
legend.
stacked lineup. That Trent Dilfer team had a defense that was legendary. That
I
would
know,
literally
I
compete
know.
with that 85
What Joe
Bears team.
Flacco didn't.
No, that 12. No. That 2012. Oh, Nate.
Nate's gone.
There he
Nate's
goes.
gone.
There he goes. There he goes. There he goes.
That's
I got him, didn't I? I got him. I got him. He's out of here.
No, that
Bro, oh my God.
That 12 team did not have that defense, the same defense. That
I know,
2012
I know.
team had an offense. That 2012 team had Nate Altman on there. That 2012 team was legit. Okay. Flacco did a couple. He did some things on offense, and a couple of those games, Flacco
great.
did his thing. That
He
Denver
did.
game when he threw that
He
late
did. He
touchdown,
pulled it up. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did.
So
And
don't
on top of that, not just that year, but the year before, especially when he outplayed Tom Brady twice in the AFC Championship game. Come on now.
Hey, there have been plenty of quarterbacks to outplay Tom
right.
Brady now.
We
It's
got to
true.
move on. We got
But I want to make a final point on the Eagles.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
please.
good. There you go.
Is this the year where we need to hold Howie Roseman accountable? Because I'm a little confused on the, I was really kind of seeing, okay, they're going to keep Doug Peterson, trade Wentz, because I really wanted to see who was going to win that trade.
Right.
Like, who was going to benefit more, Wentz, or McVay, or Peterson or Goff. Now that you fired Doug Peterson, you traded Carson Wentz. Where is Howie Roseman in this? I really think his team needs to be on. I think he needs to be on the hot seat this upcoming season.
I think you're right. I actually agree. Yeah.
No, we're going to find out, aren't we?
The thing is, this league holds winning a championship as such a high regard.
They really
that
do.
If you're able to do it, they'll overlook a lot of the other stuff that you have going on. Because we can even look back at that last game where watch the minutes of playoffs, and when they yanked Jalen Hurts for Nate Sudfeld, apparently that was from upstairs. So Peterson was just doing what he was told, and now they both got outed for it, and Wentz is gone and Peterson's gone. So great point. I definitely want to look into that. But we've already gone too deep into this whole thing. Nick, I'm coming to you. NFC North, what is going on?
Nate, you can bring the smoke here, Nate.
There we go. Well, hey, as you know, the NFC
and I'm a
North
Bears fan.
Right, the NFC North is comprised of 4 teams. You've got the Green Bay Packers, the Minnesota Vikings, the Detroit Lions, and of course, Delilah and I's beloved Bears. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the Green Bay Packers, just because they pretty much, as far as the 4 teams, have probably done the least in terms of free agent signings and all this. But so, real quick, the people that they've re-signed, obviously Aaron Jones got a 4-year deal. You still solidify your running back, great. Kevin King, even though they were calling for his head last year in that conference championship game against Tom Brady, everybody wanted Kevin King's head, but he's re-signed, 1-year deal back with the Packers. So maybe Tom Brady can exploit him again in the conference championship game. We don't know. And their tight end, they got Mercedes Lewis back for a 2-year deal.
Right.
Those are basically the big.
Mercedes Lewis, that's my guy.
Right, Mercedes Lewis. But here's the thing. So they have what's called, and I did have to look this up just for clarification, what are called exclusive rights free agents. And what exclusive rights free agents are players with fewer than 3 accrued NFL seasons, and they're only permitted to negotiate and sign with their own teams. So Green Bay has 5 of those currently, and it does appear that all 5 or all 6 of them will probably be back with the team. So those included offensive tackle Yosa Nijman, wide receiver Malik Taylor, offensive linebacker Randy Ramsey, wide receiver Alan Lazard, who some of you might recognize Alan Lazard from some of the good games that he had this past season. Robert Tonyan, of course, the tight end, who a lot of people will recognize that name as well. And their cornerback, Shandon Sullivan. So these are guys who will basically can only re-sign and negotiate with Green Bay. So it does appear that all 6 of them will be back with the team just whenever these deals get done. Now, some major losses for Green Bay. And this is what I say. Green Bay seems to have been the team that, when you look at all the names involved, have probably done the least. But they did lose a few key players in the terms of these people going to other teams and probably make some of those other teams a little bit better. Linebacker Christian Kirksey is gone. Corey
Man,
Lindsley.
okay.
I know center Lindsley. Corey Lindsley is gone.
That one's gonna
Everybody
hurt.
needs linemen. That hurts. Corey Lindsey at center. That hurts. Running back Jamal Williams, who we all know. Well, you'll get to that in a minute because Jamal ended up on another NFC North team. Go Jamal. A backup quarterback nobody knew in Tim Boyle, and defensive lineman Montrevious Adams. So basically, that's all that really Green Bay has done. They haven't made a ton of moves. I mean, their team was pretty set, to be honest.
Yeah.
They didn't need to
Yeah,
do a
for
ton. They
sure.
didn't need to do a ton of things. Obviously, they were in the NFC Championship game, and a couple things go their way, and they really should have won that game anyways. They should have played in the Super Bowl. So again, Green Bay looking okay going into this year. Still got a lot of your same team. I mean, again, you can make the face, Nate. I hear you. I'm not a Green Bay fan either. I hope they go 4-12.
I don't like
care
the
less.
fact that you paid Aaron Jones, but you let your All-Pro center walk. And then on top of that, you
that's
having
what I'm saying.
Aaron Rodgers come out. Are you going to commit to me for this upcoming season?
Right. I agree with you. I think Corey Lindsey's a big loss.
That's what Adam Jones. That's what Nick said last show. He said,
Right.
I don't think you should have paid him.
And Bakhtiari retiring before that, so you've lost two of the guys.
Yeah, they retired.
Aaron Rodgers, So but again, it's Aaron Rodgers. I know. Again, I'm not a Green Bay fan, but Aaron Rodgers is a good quarterback.
He is. There's no hating on that. That's true.
He will find a way to will his team to a victory just because he does.
Even though he's not happy.
The playoffs. He's only won 4
He's starting to come across a little bit. I mean, I don't mean to cut you off there. He's starting to come across as a little Brett Favre-ish.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
a little.
I'm being nice.
No. You're absolutely right. But do you know why? Because they drafted his replacement. The same thing they did to Brett Favre. They just did. This is their pattern.
Right behind them.
What did they do to Don Mikowski? They drafted Brett Favre. What did they do to Brett Favre? They drafted Aaron Rodgers. What did they do to Aaron Rodgers? They drafted Jordan Love.
Now, that is one thing. Again, I'm a Bears fan, but that's something that Green Bay gets right. They know how to build quarterbacks. That is a quarterback building machine team. Like, seriously, I can't even hate that.
I wish I could remember every single name. But there was a time, because I listened to ESPN here in Chicago, and John Yurkovich is one of our guys on the radio here. And John played for the Packers and was an NFL pro for 10 seasons. They drafted a quarterback 9 straight years in Green Bay. Now, you won't remember half the names. But one of them was Kurt Warner. One of them was who else was obviously Favre, Rodgers. For 9 straight years, they drafted a quarterback. Now most of them, I think, all 7 out of the 9 fell by the wayside, or got traded, or went to other teams and did a little something.
Right.
Hasselbeck, I think, was one of them. But the point is,
they
always drafted a quarterback. They always drafted a quarterback every year, no matter what. And you know what? What you will never say about Green Bay is that they've had bad quarterback play, because they haven't.
Exactly.
Not in years.
Never. No, that's what I'm saying.
So again, they're doing the right thing, and the Bears really could take a lesson from that.
So again, I wish they would.
That's Green Bay, blah blah blah. I hope, like I said, I hope they lose every game. I don't really care. Anyways, on to the next team in the NFC North. I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions next. Detroit now, of course, the big one, of course, we know they got Jared Goff in the trade with Matt Stafford. So now they've got a new quarterback there in Detroit. And again, you hope that Stafford, being the younger guy, can come in, get the system going, get on his feet. He's already had a few years in the NFL, blah, 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 blah. So you want this guy, Jared Goff. What happened? What'd you say, Nate?
You said
Stafford.
I said Goff. Jared Goff. No, I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't mean it. That's the way I said it. I apologize. But yeah, the Lions got Goff in the trade for Stafford. I think that's probably why I missed that up. But anyways, and so outside of Jared, there are a few additions here that, these are names that are not going to punch you in the face and excite you so badly, but they're pieces that they needed to fill, because what Detroit did was basically fill what they lost. When you look at if you look at what they lost and what they gained, there's a lot of similarities. Here, I'll give you one. You lost running back. What's this guy's name? No, the receivers. You lost Jamal Agnew. You lost Kenny Galladay. You lost Marvin Jones. But you pick. And again, these guys. You pick up Brashad Perriman. You pick up Tyrell Williams. So now I mean, again, I would rather have probably Galladay and Jones over Williams and Perryman.
Yeah.
But the fact is,
sure.
you filled the spot. You know, your other receivers are free agents, so you got more wide receivers to come in. You know, again, you lost tight end Jesse James, but again, you know, you still have a tight end there. You've got, like I said, you're running back. You got Jamal Williams to add to the backfield. You know, you hope that improves this year. With the second year guy, what's my guy's name here? The kid from last year.
Swift,
Swift,
Georgia.
yeah.
So you got
Uh-huh.
Swifty, you got Jamal
Yeah,
Williams.
Swifty.
Hopefully you've got- right.
You got
Hopefully you've got now a nice little backfield for yourself to help Goff out. Again, obviously they still have some more needs. Like I said, they added a defensive tackle, Michael Brockers, a defensive end, and Romeo Okawa. And of course, everybody's favorite position, they added a kicker because Matt Prater's gone, which
Yep.
he should have been. Because if you look at some of the kicks he missed last year, even though Prater's had a nice long career in the NFL, it's just his time is up. So they got
For
a kicker,
sure, I agree
Randy
with
Bullock. We'll see what happens. I mean, as far as losses for Detroit, you know, they lost their quarterback, player, coach, and Chase Daniel. He's moving along. Yeah.
That's
But
the
you know,
biggest
they
loss.
lost Stafford. But yeah, and then Marvin Jones, Jamal Agnew, as I said. You know, they lost Matt Prater, but again, they replaced him with Randy Bullock. It's one, you know, kickers are one of those things where, but then of course, they did lose Desmond Trufant to the Bears, another team going into the NFC North. But really, those are the moves for Detroit. So again, a team that, you know, we're going to see what they do in the draft. They got a high pick. They're number 7. Right? Did I say 7? Is that right? 7? Yeah, sounds right. Anywho, sorry. Trying to remember. I know. Trying to remember all this draft stuff betrays everything's driving me nuts. But you know, Detroit is one of those teams. You know, they have a little work to do. But again, you're in the NFC North, and anything can happen in the NFC North on any given year. I think we've seen that. But again, they're rebuilding a bit. So, you know, those are the few moves they've made to this point. So now let's talk about the Minnesota Vikings. And the Minnesota Vikings, for all the people will probably not know that they've actually made a lot more moves than it seems like they have.
Yeah.
I was looking at them going, really? They did
They've
that?
been very quiet, yeah.
Right. It's been very
subtle,
very under the radar. But because
Kirk.
if you look at what they lost, they also terminated a few contracts. They got rid of their kicker too. They got rid of Dan Bailey, terminated his contract. They terminated the contract of defensive tackle Shamar Stephen. They lost Kyle Rudolph, we know, going to the New York Football Giants. Hardy Nickerson, linebacker, they lost. Anthony Harris, the safety, tackle Riley Ruff, and running back Mike Boone. But again, I don't think too many people knew who Mike Boone was anyway, so that's fine. As far as additions to the Minnesota Vikings, now here's where I think the Vikings actually filled some slots with some good veteran help for themselves on defense. You got Xavier Woods at safety. Again, I know he played in Dallas, but you know, hopefully Xavier gets a change of scenery here, gets to play against, you know, some more competition. Maybe he'll up his game a little bit here. Xavier Woods is in at safety. Obviously, we all know about Patrick Peterson, cornerback coming to the Vikings, which that's a big one to bolster that defense. Now you've got an anchor back there in your secondary.
Harrison Smith,
to help
for
some of
sure.
these younger guys out, because they also got Mackenzie Alexander at cornerback. So now you've got a solid kind of core back there in the secondary, and Patrick Peterson will get these guys together and get them playing. I guarantee you. Patrick's a leader. That's the guy you want back there. That's what you needed. You needed some veteran help back there to really help. You know, this is not going to excite people, but he's a veteran receiver. Chad Beebe is with Minnesota now. I love Nate's face. Nate's is like, oh,
you know what, Nate? No, I'm gonna come for you because I'm watching Football Weekly. I most definitely was one to say we need to go get Chad Beebe. We can get him for cheap. He's like his dad. He has a great pedigree.
He's like his dad.
I'm going to get Chad Beebe.
That's the best. Now, see, I didn't think that one would set Sean off.
I can have a Chad Beebe jersey. I would. I mean, let's go.
Also, defensive tackle Dalvin Tomlinson. So I got someone on defensive line. Mason Cole on the offensive line is a good pickup for them. Solidify that offensive line a bit. And they picked up Amir Abdullah. So you got a little extra help in the backfield. You know, again, Amir can be one of those third down guys, maybe a possession out of the backfield type of thing. So again, Minnesota made little small moves, but they're moves that really help the team. So
Yeah,
it's, and
yeah.
they've done it quietly, but they've managed to make moves that have actually really helped the ball club. And again,
Those
we
are
all know
decent.
how bad Minnesota was last year, though, in comparison. So I'm sure they're looking to rebound and have a much better year in the NFC North. Okay.
What's the update on the defensive lineman Darrell? I want to say it's like Darrell Hunter. He he wants a new contract. If they don't give it to him, he wants out.
Well, I heard something. I did hear something about that. Sorry, but yeah, but you basically said it, Nate. I think he's looking for more years. He's looking for an extension, and if he doesn't get it, he wants to take his ball and play elsewhere. So that does happen in the NFL. Guys, decide they want to put their foot down. They think they're either in that position or they think they're that good. They're betting on themselves. So again, we'll see how that plays out for him, and when he's back in a Vikings uniform. I'm just saying, But now let's get to my Delilah guy's beloved Bears. Because
Bears.
Yeah, okay.
Bears.
Again, the Bears are gonna. I know, and I'm gonna try to be as objective as I can when I make this report because that's the only fair thing to do. I will comment afterwards after I give you the facts. But okay,
you're good.
So we all know the big one, right? The Bears got their quarterback. We signed Andy Dalton to a 1-year deal.
We got the ginger. We got the ginger. I got to root for the ginger now. Like, let's go.
We filled the needed quarterback with a guy we let go to Buffalo. Big deal.
Yeah.
So there you go. So there's your big quarterback signing, Chicago. We got Andy Dalton. And just so the Bears control all their fans, they put it on their Twitter page with the QB1 and Andy Dalton photoshopped in the Bears uniform and all. It's ridiculous. But anyway, okay, I digress. Let's go on. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I talked about exclusive rights free agents. So the Bears had 5 of those, have signed 5 of those. Offensive lineman Alex Bars will be back. Inside linebacker Josh Woods. Outside linebacker James Vaughters. Running back Ryan Nall, who now kind of may get lost in the shuffle with signing William. I'll get to that in a minute. The Bears signed a running back as well. But now you've got 4 or 5 potential running backs there in the backfield. Somebody's going to get lost in the shuffle. And tight end J.P. Holtz also was an exclusive rights free agent that signed back with the Bears. Obviously, we know they franchise tagged Allen Robinson. So Allen will be back despite all his protests and whatever. He will sign. He'll be back because, Andy Dalton's excited that Allen Robinson's there. And Allen Robinson is so excited. He's going to come out and get 2,000 yards rushing and catch everything but a cold. It's going to be great. But, and I know this is going to sound weird, but I think this was one because they're small. These are small 1-year. They kept the core of their special teams together, which I think is important.
Which I'm glad because they actually did their job last season.
Right. The special teams actually was pretty decent. Yeah. So to bring back, Pat O'Donnell, the punter, your long snapper,
Cairo Santos.
And then Cairo Santos got a 3-year deal. But my long snapper got Patrick Scales, got a 1-year deal. So you have kept your core of the special teams together for another year. So hopefully that just saying that was done. Those deals were done. Obviously, you guys heard about the restructuring of contracts from Khalil Mack, Eddie Jackson, and Cody White here to free up some cash to sign Andy Dalton, I guess, whatever. So that money got freed up, and we gave Andy Dalton $10 million. Yes, I'm going to keep repeating. We gave $10 million to Andy Dalton throughout this whole thing.
Andy Dalton.
Just so you guys understand what happened, right?
Could have had Fitzmagic.
And then again, some of the re-signings, we re-signed defensive end Mario Edwards to a 3-year deal. Jermaine Irfetti, our offensive lineman, got a 1-year deal. Deion Bush, the safety, got a 1-year deal. We get to pick up a defensive lineman from the Cardinals, Angelo Blackson, we signed him to a 2-year deal.
Yep.
We got Desmond Trufant from Detroit, 1 year. We signed offensive linebacker Jeremiah Atachu to a 2-year deal. Defensive lineman Elijah Wilkinson. Christian Jones, who actually played with us before, we just got him back, put him on a 1-year deal. And then, of course, the running back Damian Williams, we got a 1-year deal from the Chiefs. some key players that we lost, and key, however you want to put it. Bobby Massey, the right tackle, was released. Again, not that Massey. I mean, I don't think Massey was all that bad. It was more of a money thing. But again, you gave up somebody on the line that you needed to strengthen, so you kind of go, you stuck yourself in a corner, and this is what you have to do. We did lose a guy who I actually liked at linebacker, and Roy Robertson Harris. We lost him to the Jaguars, gave him 3 years, bunch of money. So good for Roy Robertson Harris. But him I actually liked. I was very sad to see him go. And, of course, the big one, we let our safety go. And the money, I quit.
Hopefully. Bye.
Hopefully gone. In a cost-cutting thing, the Bears, they broke my heart. They got rid of
Listen, I'm glad we kept Eddie Jackson. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no,
I know, I would have been more upset if we sent Eddie Jackson packing to Kyle Fuller. No offense, because I did like what Kyle Fuller did on the team.
No, and I get it.
But I would have been way more upset about Eddie Jackson. I was like, no.
Yeah, I know.
That was my dude.
You know, he was picking. So now, I mean, you've done that, and I get it. It was a cost-cutting thing.
Yeah.
So, but here's my thing. So now that I've given you that, okay.
You didn't talk about Jamal. You didn't talk about Jamal.
No, I did. I mentioned Jamal. I meant Damian Williams. What do you mean Jamal? Damian Williams, 1-year deal. The Kansas City Chiefs got the 1-year deal, and that is important for me. And again, I'm about to get into now the more of the smoke portion of this segment, because here's my thing. Okay, the Damian Williams thing I like because anything to keep Cordarrelle Patterson out of the damn backfield. If I see that guy out up in the backfield, I'm shooting my television because I never want to see that guy take a handoff again in my life. I don't know what the hell, I don't care.
Someone back there.
Whatever. You need solid running backs who regularly run the ball, not some guy who returns kicks, plays receiver on this down, put him in the backfield on this down. No, stop. Stop with Cordarrelle Patterson in the backfield. I beg of you. I tell you, enough is enough. So I was very happy with the Damian Williams signing again.
Yeah, me too.
I like David Montgomery. Tariq Cohen's supposed to be back from injury. Hopefully he's 100%. You got a three-headed monster now. We'll see. Hey, we'll see who wins out. They'll go to camp. We'll see. Nate's got that look on his face like he wants to say something, but
no, man,
he's going to fart. I'm not sure what it is. But I'm just like, what are we doing, Nate? What do you want to say? Go ahead. I'll let you talk. Come on, man.
Smoke.
Right, you got the face on. What you got to say?
Can I ask?
You can ask whatever you want, sir. Come on.
Can I ask how you have Nick Foles? Okay.
Oh, now we're gonna start with him. Okay.
Let me finish. Nick Foles, okay, decent quarterback.
Okay.
Eagles talking about reuniting. Doesn't happen.
Right.
Mitch Trubisky. Listen, we've had this conversation off camera. I understand it. Both parties, it was best. I think it doesn't make it makes sense.
Yeah.
But I understood. It is what it is. I'm let that go. Russell Wilson. Not even a sniff to even say, this is what we're going to offer you. And your best option is Andy Dalton.
Supposedly we did, and they told us no.
Right. See, Nate, what you're missing.
We don't have the stuff.
If you were here in Chicago, you may have heard this. It might not have been national, so I understand why you may not have heard this. Right. But there actually was a meeting between
I'm aware of it.
Ryan Pace and the general manager of the Seahawks actually talked.
They told him to fuck off, basically.
And apparently Pace politely asked what it would take. And the Seahawks went, well, not in so many words, you ain't got what it takes, my friend. So go skip down the road and go do what you got to do. Which is
what Delilah said was more to the point.
Right. It was roll out what Delilah said. But that's the point, is that when did we sign Andy Dalton? Right after that meeting happened. Right after they basically told us, you don't have what we need to take Russell Wilson away from us. So guess what? Go do what you got to do. And all of a sudden we sign Andy Dalton. So there you go.
Okay.
No, so there was a whip. I get it. It doesn't look like there was an offer made, but there was. They talked.
I'm aware that there was an offer.
Yeah, and I told you guys. After I sniffed the Kool-Aid for a week, the next week I'm like, you know what? This isn't happening.
We didn't have
enough to even come close. And you see what happened. San Francisco said, but we've got plenty. Here you go, folks. and we're going to make this deal.
If
And
you
there
didn't
it
have
is.
enough, why did you give up on? Why let Trubisky walk? Why did just say let's take a chance on this guy?
Because
And-
you have to understand. See, and I get it. You're not from here, so you don't maybe know the whole history of
Similar to
Chicago
the
and their
Flacco
management.
situation.
No, it's
similar to
the
Flacco.
management. It's management, Nate. Our management
Yeah.
sucks. Okay, it truly does. We don't do anything that makes a shred of sense for anybody. We don't have a football mind. We're owned by a family that they let the son now run the thing. He's not a football guy. This is their business. They're not football people. When George Hallis died, when
Now
George
he was
died,
a football guy, obviously.
Right,
Like,
the great George Hallis.
and they gave the team to Virginia. Virginia, Virginia was the owner at the time, but then she gave it to her son Michael. So
Right.
Michael McCaskey was the owner. Eventually gets down to George now. George is the owner. They're not football people. They're business people. They don't know this stuff.
yeah.
And they
Only
do things, and you
Papa
sit
Bear
there and
did.
scratch your head and go, why would you do that? They do things for business sense. That's why they're cheap. We don't normally give people a lot of money, to be honest with you. That Jay Cutler deal, that was an anomaly. And that's why he's not here anymore. Because you don't give a guy like that 7 years at 100 and whatever million they gave him and think that that's a great effing move. No, it's not.
Okay, if you don't think that was a good move, who was your second option?
At the time, I'd have to
Kyle
go back
Orton.
and look at what.
It was Kyle
Well,
Orton.
at the time, it was Kyle Orton.
We had Kyle, man. That's who we
Yeah.
had. Kyle
Yeah.
after
Hey, I
Sexy
like
after
Orton. I
Sexy
like Kyle Orton.
Rexy after
Jay
Jay
Sexy
Cutler
Rexy.
was the best guy at that time on the team. Like,
Okay,
that's
look,
what it
Nate,
was.
Nate, I'm going to tell you the truth. At the
Come on,
time,
Nate. We had Sexy Rexy.
remember, the 101
Kyle
million was the
Orton.
second contract. That was what they gave him to stay. When Jay first came here, I actually was excited because I thought he could be a
Right.
really good
I
quarterback.
did too, actually. A lot of us did, actually. We were like,
when they signed Jay to when he first came here, I thought,
We were
man, that's a pretty decent signing. Okay, maybe we got something here. But then Jay showed who he really was, that he doesn't give a shit. And that's what happened. So then you have this whole.
he became
So,
a meme. He became a meme.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it became a joke.
Like,
We were
everybody
just
makes
like, all
fun of
right.
him.
Like,
He was a joke. They'd always show him with the cigarette hanging out of his mouth. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it was bad. It
didn't care.
The thing is,
He
we've
didn't
never
care.
been great. We have never been great, honestly, Nate.
no.
With football moves,
Quarterbacks.
honestly, we haven't. Like,
Especially at quarterback.
Yeah,
Never.
quarterback. Yeah.
Never.
Nobody in their right mind would move up one spot from 3 to 2 to draft a quarterback that nobody was taking at 2 and give up those picks to just take him at 3 one spot later. Who in their right mind? This isn't Draft Day, the movie where Kevin Costner traded his picks back and forth until he got them back. Like, that's not how you do things. It's just not. And that's how we operate. We just don't, for whatever reason, we either don't get it, they don't want to get it. I don't know what their problem is.
Yeah.
But they don't understand They're not football people. They're business people. And that's what they look at. Why do you think all of a sudden we're dropping people to save money? Okay, but you're gonna give away Kyle. You're gonna give away one of your better safeties. You're just gonna let offensive linemen walk because they're expensive. Come on, that's not.
It's a business. It's a business out there,
and that's why it's frustrating because the Bears, again, you're squandering what's really a good defense right now.
Yeah,
you truly are. Because think about it. I know because even good defenses, if you're constantly coming on the field every 4 downs because your team goes 4 and out constantly, you're going to get tired at some point.
Absolutely.
If you're playing 40 minutes a game on defense because your offense can't hold on to the damn ball, yeah, you're going to crack. You're going to bend. People are going to score on you. That's just the way it is. But
the two of you, Chicago Bear fans, you guys are okay with Andy Dalton.
No, nobody is. We don't have a choice.
Wait a minute.
I'm okay with that.
None of us are.
That's the thing, Nate. That's what my question is. My question is, because somebody's a fan, does that make them okay with all the moves? Just because I'm okay with Fitzpatrick, but that's because I'm kind of cuckoo. But that doesn't mean I'm okay with all the moves just because I'm a fan.
No. But I've always been honest about the stuff that my team does. I wear the jersey. I know, it's like and pray for a miracle every time the games happen.
Pray for America.
But Chicago really is even if our team isn't the best, we are a football town. And so we do actually pay attention to the move. That's why we're angry. That's why we're always like on social media, like, what are you doing? Right? Because we actually do understand football, right? So no, we're not.
You're okay. We're not okay with Andy Dalton. We're not.
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying that. But these are your options. These are your two options going into the season.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying like, oh well, you letting go of Mitchell Trubisky is the worst thing that's going to happen to the Bears. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying
he's not. He's actually not the worst thing that's happened to the Bears. But okay.
Are you just talking to? Yeah. No, I think that like we're not. You know who's making like who is happy with this whole situation? Nick Foles. Because he getting paid.
Nick Foles getting paid.
He doesn't care. If you look at him, he has no problem being backup. He will come in and do what he needs to do if someone gets hurt. He is chill. You don't see him on social media arguing. You don't see him like fighting with the press saying, "Oh, I don't want to be backup." Like he's getting paid.
Champion and he's got money. So what he's like, care about anything.
So like that's where so he doesn't care if Andy Dalton threw a piss fit because he did. Andy Dalton was the one that tweeted, "Oh, I thought I was in a starting position." Right? We all saw that. So then
they named you the quarterback, pal. Good luck.
Yeah. So then the Bears are like, so the Bears are like, yeah, he's our starting quarterback. So it's not that we agree with the situation; we just don't have a choice.
But what are we going to do about it? Like we don't
have a choice. It's called boycotting the games.
Happening in town.
We'll put you this way. All right, Nate. We'll put you this way.
Hold on. Let me answer that. Let me answer that boycotting games comment. Funny guy. So okay.
No, I mean seriously, that's what you do. As an Orioles fan,
you've been a Baltimore Ravens fan all your life, right? You're going to tell me you would. So if they tomorrow traded Lamar Jackson for some scrub quarterback for whatever reason, would you boycott the games?
I would be disgusted. I'm calling for people's jobs. Why are you trading Lamar Jackson?
Would you boycott the games?
Would you boycott games?
Yes.
You would. Then you're a better man than I.
What about the last?
You're definitely better than me.
You're being honest and saying that you would actually boycott games.
I can't do it. I'm not going to lie. I would never lie about it.
What about those last couple years with Flacco when you knew he was bad?
The last couple years with Flacco was a different situation. I'm going to tell you why it was different. Joe Flacco got $120 million. Outside of Torrey Smith and Steve Smith.
Like Jay Cutler.
Right, but outside of Torrey Smith, Steve Smith Sr., and Dennis Pitta, name me 5 guys that Joe Flacco had to work with.
Right. Now.
That's my point. Now,
exactly. Now equate that to Chicago.
Chicago has
quarterback.
Yeah,
who else you have? Allen Robinson, Khalil Mack, Hicks. Who else?
Eddie
I love
Jackson,
Hicks.
Tariq Cohen, Montgomery.
No, I'm not giving you. Tariq
Cohen was out.
He was out.
I'm not giving you Tariq Cohen either.
He was out. He was out.
Eddie Jackson, they like him. He's a fan favorite. But look, I see those 3 on top of my head. Maybe an O lineman, and that's it. And I'd put in Cordell.
Before you retired, Kyle Long.
Huh? And he retired. He left.
Kyle Long hasn't played in 2 years.
How bad they were.
Right. Kyle Long said, "I'm out of here. I'm done."
Listen, let me say this. The reason why I said boycott, you got to hold your franchise coming. I'm not saying y'all, and Chicago fans do that. That's why I'm a low key fan of the Bears. What I'm saying is that when you have ownership, for example, I know we're talking about football, but for baseball, I'm an Oriole fan. Okay, I've had to endure mediocrity for damn near half my life. The last time I saw the Orioles win was a couple years ago. Why is that? Because you have an owner in Peter Angelos who does not care about baseball. He cares about money.
I'm a Cubs fan.
She's a Cubs fan, so 108 years. So
108 years. It took you 108 years, but we haven't won a World Series since 1983. And the last time before we were in the playoffs was 1997. What I'm saying is that you got to hold ownership accountable. And until you do that, look at the end result. Canyon Yards, you weren't getting full. Before Buck Showalter came into town, you wasn't getting a full house of Canyon Yards. Look at Soldier Field. Come on now. I mean, this is what you're putting on the field.
Hey, they still pay. That's different.
But I would argue to that. Let me say something to that. 16 games versus 81. Okay? Or 8 games. I'm sorry. There's only 8 home games in football. So that's 8 games as opposed to 81 that you play at a home stadium in baseball. you're still going to sell out the games. It's an attraction. People are going to go to NFL games because there's only 8 of them. Let's be honest about that. You have 81 baseball games. You can skip some and you're fine. No, but you're not going to have a full house every game unless you're the drunks here in Chicago who go see the Cubs. That's a different story. That's a tourist trap. I know that because I work there.
I know. I hate it. I hate it. I don't like it. I don't like when it comes to
But the point I'm trying to make is that at the end of the day, like this is what the Bears are going to put on the field. And it's not as fans. I'm saying y'all got to hold them ownership a little more accountable.
No, I mean I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
To your
I
point,
get it, right? Boycott to try to
haven't spent
twist their
money on an
arm.
actual football ticket in 3 years. I mean, I'll watch on TV, but I
don't
haven't
go to
bought
games
tickets
either.
to go to a game.
Now let me ask you
Because
this,
I
Nate.
know that the
No, I don't
team
go to
sucks,
games either.
and I don't want to
What
give
would
them
you-
my money, to be honest with you.
What would
Yeah,
you
I don't
suggest
either.
for Washington fans?
I don't either. I don't go.
Well, I made a YouTube
We
video.
have all that same stuff, and that's been
Well,
a
I made a
conversation.
YouTube video months ago. It was like almost an hour video saying, well, because of a name change, what's the fan base going to look like? Like we all know because of Daniel Snyder, he holds the team back from being successful.
Right.
Like
He
we
does.
know that because he interferes
Right.
with the team's success. They had the formula when they had
Right,
RG3.
right.
When you turn around and you go with Kirk Cousins, you're messing up the formula. And also, I think Mike Shanahan played a role in that.
Yeah, It goes back to Dan Snyder. It starts with him, ends with him.
Right.
I agree that 2012 year was amazing, but now looking back and seeing all the turmoil that was going on in the front office and between Shanahan and RG3 and the family and all that stuff, I don't agree. Look, my thing is this: I completely agree, and I'm one to sit here and I'm one that when I was like 9 or 10, I cried at preseason games if we lost. Okay, that's how diehard this fan is. So I agree that you got to hold them accountable. But at the same time, you got to understand what it is we're doing right now. It's all about money. And I mean, it goes back to...
I understand it's a business,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, if you're okay, this team, like, let me ask you a question. Do you think them making the playoffs, Nick and Delilah, was a good thing or bad thing last season?
No, it's bad. We didn't want him to go.
It was horrible. I wanted him to
We didn't want him to go.
About Washington.
We wanted Arizona to go in there. Yeah, we wanted Arizona to go.
All I wanted to do was win.
No.
No, they couldn't do that. We backed into the playoffs. No, I hated it. I wanted us to lose the rest of our
I said it on this show before. Like I was like, no. Like no.
I mean, let's be honest. Let's be honest.
We screwed up the opportunity to get a top 15 draft pick. Now
Right,
we're
that's why I didn't want them to go. I'm like,
look,
we're going to get a good player at 20.
If you're not Kansas City, if you're not
Tampa now.
Tampa Bay right now. Tampa Bay right now, right. Green Bay seems to have their stuff. New England seems to have you know what I mean? There's a handful of franchises. I mean, we could throw the Ravens in because I like what Harbaugh and them are doing, but there's a handful of franchises where you really like exactly, that's what I'm saying. There's a handful of franchises.
The only concern with Baltimore is Greg Roman. That's the only concern. Other than that, Baltimore's fine.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So there's a handful of franchises that you can say that with. And then on the other side, there are the franchises like Washington, like Chicago, that are just like, what? Why? Come on now. But on the flip side, sometimes you got to go to the very, very bottom to get back up to that place. Yeah. I look at last year, we go 3-13, and then all of a sudden, now we get that number 2 pick. We get Chase. He's a game changer. But us being so awful begot Ron Rivera, begot that was 15th pick where we got McLaurin and obviously we got the other Haskins, whatever before. But
Sean, let me ask you this, Sean, because I know I think I mentioned this to you off air when we were talking 2 days ago. Daniel Snyder is trying to buy out the minority owners of the Washington football team.
Yeah, he already did.
Let that happen.
They will.
They will.
Yeah, they will. They will. They will.
Because I promise you that.
He's now going to be the majority. He's going to control everything. He's going to have everything let it happen. In Washington.
Unfortunately, they're going to let it happen. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at everything that happened in August and September with all of those sexual assault and sexual abuse and sexual misconduct cases, and then you look at what he did because of that with the name change, which we all know is because of money. We all know all the
he didn't care about the people.
He didn't care at all.
Yeah, he's a racist.
So you had the name change. You have so he has
care.
all this. He has this sexual misconduct coming out. So what do? Oh, we no longer have cheerleaders. We have a dance team. Okay,
Right.
you
They
have
have a dance team, right.
That's
he puts Kyle. What's his name? Kyle Wright or no? Jason Wright as
Jason
our
Wright.
VP. He has Doug Williams in there. Martin Mayhew, Jen King. I mean, African American and Black. We see what's happening. He's trying to cover it up by saying, "Oh, look how diverse we are. Look at
Right.
and he's still over here touching women and stuff like that." So
Right.
Right.
I get the boycott thing. I absolutely get it, and I've been through. Listen, I've been through years of 3-13, 2-12. I've been through Kerry Conklin as my quarterback and Sexy Rexy, the sloppy seconds of Sexy Rexy.
There you go.
I've been through that. I've been through these garbage QBs and all this stuff like that.
Jason Campbell wasn't garbage.
Jason Campbell was not garbage. Jason Campbell came into a horrible situation. Okay.
For sure,
Jason Campbell won a Heisman Trophy, or not a Heisman Trophy, but a national championship with Auburn, and he had a two-headed monster at running back. He had a great defense. Like, they were amazing. But he came into a situation where his first 6 or 7 years, he had 6 or 7 offensive coordinators and maybe 3 or 4 coaches. So that was just the situation.
Mitch Trubisky. He came in with he came in with John Fox and then Matt Nagy and then Mark Trestman. Was it Mark Trestman?
Yes.
The similarity is for us and for them is the owner. When the owner is the one who's coming off making these moves. We hear the story. They tell a story about Washington when they picked Dwayne Haskins.
Right.
They had other people on their draft board, and they said, "Here comes into the draft room Dan Snyder off his yacht and says, I want him, Dwayne Haskins. He's a quarterback. He's available." Nobody had him in their first round, but he picked him. Okay, so us boycotting, and this is my thing against boycotting, and actually we're going to cut it short. This is my thing against boycotting. It's just that when it comes to finances and when it comes to all these big wigs and all this, our voice only says a little bit. If you actually look and if you come to, I don't know how many Washington games you've gone to, but if you've actually gone to Washington games, there is per capita more fans of other teams in Washington. Yeah,
than Washington itself.
Right.
In
the stadium, and that's. I mean, half the stadium's empty, so that's still not saying much. We're not so technically we have somewhat boycotted, and you have these people that are saying, "Oh, there'll always be the Redskins to me." So we have boycotted essentially, but boycotting altogether is just, I just don't think it's possible. I don't think it's realistic.
Yeah, it won't happen in this town either. Like even if even if 1 million of us out of a city of almost 4 million, that's still 3 million.
Soldier Field, right?
Yeah. No, I mean just supporting the team, right? Yeah, and that's outside of us because it's not just Chicago fans who root for the Bears. The whole state does, except when you get to pseudo Wisconsin area, that's what we call it, like Northern Illinois, they tend to be Packers fans. And when you go to Southern Illinois, they tend, depending where you are, they might root for the Colts. But predominantly, the whole state, which is pretty conservative, supports the Bears. Yeah. So even if everyone in Chicago said, let's boycott, they're still going to have the whole rest of the state supporting them because they won't boycott them. You know what I mean?
Chicago's not going to boycott. If Chicago stuck with those Cubbies for all that time, and there was some awful Cubs team, if they supported them all them years, they're not going to boycott. Washington, we've had you guys and the Ravens been to the Super Bowl twice since 2000. We've had the Panthers go to the Super Bowl twice. You know what I mean? So that's up north and that's down south from us. Philly went to a Super Bowl. Everybody around us is going to a Super Bowl, but we're under the control of the evil Darth Snyder. You know what I mean? Like,
that's a great name.
Like, I just can't.
I know.
I don't know. Like,
do you want me to go into the
franchise successful?
Yeah,
I know. You look at a team like you look at a team like Miami, and you look at a team like Buffalo. I agree,
and I think that
and you get like McCourty out of you keep them out of football business. That's how you get. That's how you make. Well,
I think look. Do you know how long it took? And we were talking about that. Do you know how long it took to get rid of Garpax in the Bulls? Like Paxton, like they were there forever, and teams were like, get rid of, like they don't make good decisions. Like Paxton fantastic basketball player. Thank you, sir. But like, as far as management, suck made awful decisions for our basketball team, right? And so it took forever so I don't even know how long it will take to even remove, because the McCaskies are also like one of those like Chicago. I don't even know what it would take.
They'll
to
never
remove.
sell. The team will always.
Yeah,
stay
I don't
They're
know
never
if
gonna
that.
sell.
Yeah, I don't see that family ever.
I don't mean to sound crass, but
No,
they don't have to die for somebody to take the team. It's just
that's to die off.
not going to happen.
Unfortunately,
or marry somebody there, get some like football genetics in there.
George is one of the younger guys. I think George is only in his 50s.
Yeah.
So George McCaskey will be the owner for the next 30 years. Like, it's not
right.
gonna,
Unfortunately, what these owners, some of these owners do charity stuff and do behind the scenes and stuff like that, even if it is just like BS and them just randomly doing it for show.
You can be philanthropic, that's fine, but
right. But that's the reason why they're staying. That a lot of times that's the reason why they keep some of these guys. Like Dan Snyder has this big breast cancer initiative because his wife went through it.
Right.
And he has this big deal in Washington where he's taking care of that. And so people look at that when people are getting their pockets lined up. You know what I mean? They don't care, man. Like they're like, all right, we'll take it. Like I just think it's a lot more difficult for us to make the impact. You know what I mean? Especially in towns.
Not that I don't disagree.
Definitely in Chicago. But yeah, we completely agree. But I just think it's harder to make that impact.
I got you. I feel you.
Because it used to be if you don't win, they get you out of there.
Right.
But
now,
it's not
like that anymore.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have teams that are garbage that are still keeping owners and keeping general managers and things like that. Because it's like, oh, look what we do for this community, or look what we do for that. Like it stinks. But like I mean, it is the way it is.
All right,
it
let's
is.
move to the NFC West so we can close up.
I'm sorry. I apologize. That's my fault.
No. Hey, that's why we're here, man. It's a talk show. We start talking, and that's
I know. I just want to make sure we complete the NFC, and then we can
conference.
Then we can go back to like making fun of whatever it is we're doing.
Go ahead, Delilah. Yeah,
right. No, it's good. No, don't worry. I'm not gonna. I pretty much just summarized a lot of it, so it wasn't like. But basically, like on the NFC West, right? We have Arizona, the Rams, Seattle, obviously, right, and the 49ers, right? Those are the teams. Right now, as it stands, for a while, most of the analysts really saw the Cardinals as being the winner so far in the trade and free agency, battle, just because of, all the signings they did, right? So Arizona, as we know, the big one that came through, right, is JJ Watt. That was like the biggest signing, right? That everybody was like, oh, we didn't, like, a lot of people kind of slept on Arizona. JJ didn't, right? They also signed AJ Green. That's going to be a huge weapon on the offensive side. They signed Matt Prater. So
right, they got Matt Prater.
Yeah, Matt Prater.
Yeah, but they also, they signed a center, Rodney Hudson, right? So you've got a center.
Very underrated.
Yes, they also have another veteran guard in Brian Winters, right? They just signed him to a 1-year deal. They also have cornerback Malcolm Butler that they also signed to a 1-year deal. Yeah, so Arizona right now is looking really, really competitive. They're obviously have a lot of faith in Kyler Murray. I don't blame them. Right?
What's that Seattle about Malcolm Butler? Nothing. I was making.
Sorry. No, I didn't. Sorry. Yeah. So
Seattle about Malcolm Butler.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, no, he's over here now. Ooh, he's. So, so Arizona is actually looking pretty good. Like a lot of, even with the moves that we just heard, from the Niners, they still see the 49ers as the winners so far in the trade and free agency. It'll be interesting to see what they do in the draft, like who they actually pick, what they go with. But right now, Arizona is looking to be, and they were already competitive, right? We know that. They actually were a pretty darn good team, even with their win and loss. But if you actually look at it, they were a pretty solid team. They were hard to beat. Like even when they lost, it wasn't like it wasn't like they went down easy, right? And so So I think that right now the NFC West is going to be very more competitive than what we've seen, honestly, with these moves. So for right now, they see Arizona, as do I. I think right now they're looking pretty good. They're looking to be very competitive, I think, coming in off the gate during this upcoming season. Right now, with the moves that the 49ers made, right, they kind of see, actually, they also see San Francisco, because what they did, they focused on retaining as much of their talent as possible, right? They re-signed Trent Williams at left tackle for 6 years, by the way.
Yes. You
Yeah,
got
so
a ton of money.
yeah, so they gave him a
Highest
6-year
contract for a lineman, correct?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So they gave him so they gave him a 6-year contract. They also re-signed fullback Kyle. I can't say his last name.
Kyle
Juszczyk.
Yeah.
Juszczyk.
You know,
Last
he
great fullback.
re-signed. He also got a really good deal. You know,
Juszczyk.
5 years, right? So 27 million. So he's gonna, you know, he's
go,
doing
Kyle.
great. They added center Alex Mack, linebacker Samson Ikbam, right? Epugam, sorry, I butchered his last name. Ebucam. So first they retain their core, which, by the way, the fact that they have that's a strong O-line, guys. I don't even know if you understand what we just saw. Like, you know, so they're definitely going to protect Jimmy, right? So we'll see if that means, you know, Jimmy will have, we know Jimmy can pass the ball, right? We know that. Like, as much as he gets injured and stuff, I'm talking about, Mac Jones, yeah. If
Sorry,
no, I know that's they end up doing, right? Either way, they have a pretty solid O-line right now. So and then they started adding people. And I think that's what the 49ers did very smart, right? They re-signed their core talent. They're like, all right, now let's draft. And then they did the big trade that we started our show with, right? You don't move up that to third and, you know, pick someone that's not a quarterback, right? We know that they're going to pick a quarterback to back up Jimmy G, right? Who that is, like, again, like Nick kind of told us in the beginning of the show that, right, the general manager kind of went and looked at, saw Mac Jones during his pro day, but didn't look at anyone else. Doesn't mean necessarily that's who he'll go with, but who knows? So either Mac Jones will be back up, but either way, Jimmy G is going to have someone fighting for his gig. All right, Jimmy G, you're going to have someone coming for your job. So stay healthy if you can. You got protection like they really did. You know, you got the guards around you now. So hopefully you can stay healthy, because that's the other thing, right, is making sure he stays healthy. Yeah. So right now, 49ers are actually looking pretty good. Again, we'll see if they sign anyone else, because there's still, right, there's still more time in the free agency to pick up more guys if they really wanted before the draft day. But yeah, so right now, the two big winners that most sports experts are saying is they really think that right now 49ers and Arizona have done the best on the West. And I actually agree based on, you know, already with some of these things. Then comes in third place is the Rams, right? Because they don't know. We're not saying Stafford was a bad idea. We just don't know, because that was a big gamble. That's the problem. The problem is that they gave up, I don't know how many picks for the next, you know, I think next 3 drafts, right? First round picks or something. Like, so they're not going to draft first until what,
2024.
Yeah, see? So no first round pick. Yeah, that's crazy, right? And so so there is a lot. I mean, that is a lot riding on Stafford, right? And so that's why there's a lot of conflict, because they really don't see right now, unless he goes in and proves us wrong, right? They don't really see how they could be a winner yet. Doesn't mean they won't be competitive, because they were already, right? The Rams really were hanging in there with Seattle to the bitter end, right? Like, they really did come for Seattle's first place. So it's not like, you know, but they lost guys too because of their cap, right? Again, because of the money, right, that they gave, which we've heard Nate talk about. That salary cap is really killing a lot of teams, right? And so so they lost a lot of guys. So they haven't added like too many people. You know, they did sign Leonard Floyd, right? He he agreed to a 4-year, $64 million to
He
stay.
got more money. I don't understand that. Like,
That is a
he
lot of
didn't
money.
play well, and he goes to the Rams, has a good year, and all of a sudden he's getting 4
They
years for
threw
60
a
million. So
lot of money.
God bless you, Leonard Floyd.
Woo, yeah. So
God bless
Leonard
Floyd.
Leonard Floyd is going, to the Rams, 4-year, $64 million deal to stay, right? Because you're right, he came last season and he's staying.
That's right.
So right now, they really don't see if the Rams really are the winners so far. They lost John Johnson, Troy Hill, Morgan Fox, Gerald Everett, Josh Reynolds, right? So they lost a lot of guys. So really, they do get picks this draft. They just don't get, first round picks and stuff. So, so they still get to pick somewhere down the line. And people are hoping that they kind of pick people who could plug in those gaps that they have now, right? See if they could plug in, those are big core guys that they lost that they could have retained because of the salary. Now, in last place, people really see Seattle as being the loser so far because they, their issue with Russell Wilson obviously really threw that team, for a spin. He's staying for sure, at least this upcoming season. He is their quarterback. I read that honestly, who stepped in was the coach, which makes sense. I don't blame him. He's like, y'all can't let him leave. Like, what are you doing? Right. So he was like, so Carroll was like, no. He's like, he's like, he ain't going nowhere, right? So because of Coach Carroll was the one that really put his foot down to make sure that they didn't trade Russell this season. Now, what happens next season? Who knows, right? Because I think he'll be a free agent next season, if I'm not
24.
mistaken. Oh no, so he's got a couple more years.
He's good till 23 through the 23 season.
Doesn't mean he can't. Doesn't mean he can't force a trade,
trade or whatever, right?
Right, but either way,
right now he's good through 23.
Right, but as of now, Pete Carroll stepped in and said, "You're not sending Russell anywhere." So he's gonna be the starting QB for Seattle. They did sign Kilo Witherspoon on defense. So he's gonna be on Seattle. So they did make some moves, right? Like, it's not that they didn't. So they signed Kerry Hyder at cornerback, right? Al Woods and Gerald Everett. That's where Gerald went, right? So I'm actually surprised. I'm surprised that, he's free agent, so he can go wherever. But man, that's to stay within your own division. That's
competition.
Yeah. So
competition is real.
Yeah, so again, they have defensive end Kerry Hyder, cornerback Akela Witherspoon, defensive tackle Al Woods, and tight end Gerald Everett. So they did sign some people, right? They did. They have Gabe Jackson, right, from the Raiders. So they signed him. They re-signed a lot of their free agents. So I mean, I don't know how much more they could do, really, right? Because again, it does come down to money. But they did sign some people through free agency. They did re-sign Carlos Dunlap and Benson Miawa. They re-signed Chris Carson, Nick Valor, Puna Ford, Ethan Pochik, Jordan Simmons, and Cedric Ogubie. And I probably ruined his name too. I apologize. I gotta work on that because I don't like, I really do like saying people's names, right? So I gotta work on those. And then again, Russell's coming back, and so when you have Russell, they did give him. He said, he wanted some protection. So I mean, you got a few guys. I guess we'll see.
Let's hope.
That's that's what he asked for, right? So.
Right.
But yeah, so right now they really see Arizona and 49ers as being, the pseudo winners thus far in the trade and free agency wars on that side. The jury's out on the Rams, and they're not really sure, like Seattle made, what's going to go, what's happening there. But I think it's going to be that's going to be a crazy fight over there in the West. Like that's, that's going to be very fun to watch. I'm actually excited because I actually want to see who comes out on top. Like,
I like that. I can't wait to see.
I want them,
like this
I
year,
want
that
them
was
to
the best
give,
division by far.
yeah, look, I want them to give Green Bay a run for their money too, because
Yes.
it ain't going to be us. So I need someone else to do it.
Exactly. And shout out
Andy
to Anthony Handy, who's been watching the whole way, basically talking about how Seattle, even though they didn't trade him, once the cat is out of the bag, that
Right.
knows that he's potentially looking at trades, teams, even if not this year, somewhere year down the line, he thinks that by next year, Russell will be gone, barring Russell winning a Super Bowl.
I agree
You know
with
what I
him.
mean?
I agree. I agree with
Shout
that
out
call.
to him. Shout out to Wendy, who said what's up to us. Couple people definitely watching. We got time for one more. Nate, I'm coming to you. The NFC South, led by Tom Brady, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What's going on in the South, Nate?
Well, what's going on in the NFC South? I'll start with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, obviously. I did write here an interesting fact. The last team that had all 22 of its starters to return was the 1977 Raiders.
Wow.
So that's an interesting fact.
That is a good fact.
Basically, I was surprised. I think the biggest one because I think that kind of surprised me the most was Shaquille Barrett, because I believe he was going to command about $20 million in the market. But no, they re-signed Chris Godwin, Gronk, Ndamukong Suh, Levante Davis, Ryan Suckup, Leonard Fournette. Antonio Brown's the only one that's not re-signed yet. Joe Haig, if I'm saying his name right, went to Pittsburgh. You have the Atlanta Falcons. Mike Davis, Lee Smith via trade. Bavarkius Mingo, Brandon Copeland,
Devarius Mingo, yeah.
Fabian Marneau. They lost Justin McCray to the Texans, Alex Mack to San Francisco, and Keanu Neal to the Cowboys. So pretty much for the Falcons, I'm looking at them. I'm surprised that Matt Ryan also got his contract restructured. So we could pretty much say this is probably going to be the last year for Matt Ryan for sure, and most likely for Julio Jones too. So I'm surprised they just didn't go with just a whole new clean slate for this year, but that's neither here nor there. Carolina, I have here, they have added David Moore, Dan Arnold, Taylor Morton on a franchise tag, Pat Eiflin, Cameron Irving, Morgan Fox, Hanson Reddick, Denzel Perryman, Mike Davis, obviously, to Atlanta, Curtis Samuel to Washington, and Stephen Weatherly to Minnesota. I don't know. Carolina, I'm not giving up on Teddy Bridgewater. I think what Carolina's going to have to address in the draft is most likely a wide receiver for sure. Now that Samuel's gone. I mean, between paying Eiflin and Irving, I did the math according to Spot Track, was $23.5 million. I mean, I think Carolina did what they had to do to protect Teddy. So the New Orleans Saints, we all know Drew Brees is retired. Like I said, I've said it, for the record, I think he just really wasn't himself after that injury. I had to look back at Taysom Hill's contract. The first year is guaranteed. The rest of it after that is none. So Jameis Winston, James Hurst, and then I think it was really big for them to get Marcus Williams back on a franchise tag. Really will help that defense. Yeah, we all know that New Orleans Saints right now is cap strapped because the contracts that they have on the books. And Emmanuel Sanders was lost to Buffalo. Jared Cook, Los Angeles. Josh Hill to the Lions. Troy Hendrickson, Cincinnati. Malcolm Brown, Jacksonville. Sheldon Rankins to the Jets, and Janoris Jenkins to Tennessee. I think the Saints are going to be okay, but again, we'll have to see what's what. And then that's the NFC South.
Yeah. For the most part. And like you said, do you think it's Tampa Bay winning? I mean,
well, they gave Tom Brady a deal towards 45. They kept the same team. I think it's possible. I mean, really, the NFC East. I don't know what the Saints are going to look like. I don't know what Carolina is going to look like. Atlanta is in rebuilding mode.
Right.
So
they are the team to beat to win the division for sure.
Tampa, yeah.
And
shout out to Anthony Handy. He's a diehard Atlanta fan, bruh. We understand. We appreciate you watching the show. We're not going to talk about today being the
anniversary.
The
number
29th. Yeah,
today's
the 29th. We're not going to talk about it.
It was yesterday.
We got to shout you out, man. Hopefully, I definitely think the Falcons are in a rebuilding stage. Carolina, I think, is a little bit more farther along if we can get CMC back. But like you said, they need a receiver. They need receivers. Period.
I really think that Tampa is going to be the team to beat in that division for the next few years. Unless I think New Orleans will still give them a fight for that title, though. Even with I think so. I think they could still get better than the other two teams.
Famous Jameis.
It's not. Well, I mean, the thing is that the Saints have, they've been in the NFC Championship 3 straight years in a row.
Yep.
And I mean, at some point, I hate to say this, but you could say this is championship or bust.
Yeah, it happens.
For the Saints.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Jameis Winston. I feel bad because here's a guy that threw 5,000 yards in Tampa, and look, it's Tom Brady.
Right.
So I don't know. So Jameis Winston could come out next year and throw but
that's what I'm saying.
4,000 yards.
But that's what I'm saying. I think that the two teams that are going to be competing for that top spot is going to be Tampa and New Orleans. Even with Jameis, even with with the retirement of the great, right? It's going to be those two teams because I agree with you. Are Panthers going to be a real threat? Are they really?
Not right now. But I'm not gonna. But if you're Tampa Bay, you're not gonna. Don't put your eggs all in one basket with Tom Brady. For all I know, I don't know what Tom Brady's gonna look like next year.
But I'm just saying, I think they're hard to beat. Is what I'm saying. I really do think they're going to be hard to beat.
They are hard to beat.
In this division.
Right now, well, if we're just talking division,
I'm talking division, not the conference.
Right now,
although they are favored to win those still in a lot of the betting pools. They're still favored to win the conference, not the Super Bowl, but they are favored slightly above the Packers. It's Packers and Tampa.
So shout out to Wendy. Wendy's talking about the Packers are going all the way.
Like I said, they're the top two favored. That's what I'm saying. Right now, as it stands, all the FanDuels and all these different, that we look at Vegas, all these different betting things. Tampa's first, not by much, but they're giving them a slight because they're the defending, right? They always do that, right? They're and so they have them as winning the NFC conference. Not necessarily the Super Bowl because Chiefs are favored slightly still to win it all again. But right now, as far as our conference, right, because we're talking about the Northern Conference, right now the top two teams to beat to actually get to the Super Bowl is Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady again. That's who all the teams have to beat to get that number one spot.
And shout out, I gotta shout out my boy from Washington Football Weekly, Ab, who Nate called out earlier. I saw the roll of the eyes. But you know what? The funny thing is, he's to your point though. He said you you can't just rely on bringing everybody back and think, oh, we're going to have the absolute same success we had before. Mm-hmm. What happened? The Chiefs brought everybody back. Yes, they went 14-2, but at the same time, what happened? They came and met the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl, and the Buccaneers had a totally revamped new team. So
they kept that defense. They kept that core defense in Tampa.
Defense, but it's like, for example, again, no disrespect to Ablo. Shout out to Ablo. That's my guy. But, I'll give you an example, right? After the Ravens won the Super Bowl in 2000, they kept pretty much the same team. but the biggest thing was a quarterback. So I mean, you gave Davis money, you gave Barrett money, but I'm telling you, some of these guys, especially after winning a championship, they're gonna feel themselves and they're gonna look for a big payday. And even though Tampa Bay gave them, team friendly deals, Barrett could have went somewhere else with the money he was going to command. Davis too. So it really all depends. If Tampa Bay has to think, okay, we can't really sign everybody. There's going to be some guys that we're going to have to let go, or we're going to have to give them the grass is green on the other side pitch. So.
Well, and again, at the end of the day, it all comes down to who's leading the way. And as long as TB12 is still there and healthy, healthy,
and not drunk.
He's healthy. Well, not throwing
not on the field
trophies.
Not on game day. Not on game day. No, dude. Hey, I gotta, like I said, listen. All I'm saying is, on game day, like say again. I've said them we all have. I'm not like a Tom Brady fan. I have other ideas of GOATs outside of like men because it's always focused on men, and I'm a woman. It's like there's other GOATs out there. But what I'm saying is, when it comes to playing, the way, like, I don't know if anybody's ever read like his workout routine, his diet. Obviously, he has money because he could do that, but still, like, he has a specific chef make specific like just hardcore condition because he's older, right? And he he knows he's an aging quarterback, so he needs his edge in whatever form. So if he can stay healthy, I still wouldn't count him out. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like if he gets hurt, that's a whole other thing. That's a whole new team. Like if he goes stop, that's a whole. Then it's gonna be
backup Blaine Gabbert, or you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
But look, shout out to him. But let's be very clear. We all realize the real reason why Tom's doing everything he's doing, and the reason why he has the chef and everything, is because Giselle is in there. Like, listen, you ain't gonna be on my arm, looking ugly and looking your age. You better still look like you 31.
But she's still looking good too.
Right. Giselle said, "Look, the second you fall off, Tom, the second you fall off, I'm moving on."
That's hilarious.
Oh yeah, I'm saying, look,
that is so funny. I love that. That's hilarious.
As long as Tom is healthy,
that's key.
He's bringing that team back. They're definitely favorites in the South.
Sure.
And
that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it'll happen. We know football changes, right? We know that. We've seen it happen. We assume one thing, but right now the favorite to win a division is Tampa, and the favorite to win the conference is Tampa. Doesn't mean it'll happen,
but
they're just favored currently.
There's potential. We'll see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have been with you for a good amount of time. We hope you enjoyed the show. So
we got off on a Bears tangent. Sorry.
Yeah, that's my fault. I apologize.
Hey, and don't worry, because next week we coming to give you smoke, Nate.
We're coming for the
Ravens show. A whole Ravens show.
The Rock said back in the day, just bring it.
Just bring it.
Oh, don't worry.
Bring
I got some for you, Mr.
God. Nick is gonna be armed. He's gonna.
Right. I got your boycott right here.
Steelers shirt on next week.
That's right.
You're gonna have a Ben Roethlisberger.
I'm gonna get me a Joe Flacco jersey from his new team and wear that for you.
I don't hate Joe Flacco.
He doesn't.
Joe Flacco's gonna be
I know you
don't.
I know.
For
it's
sure.
just funny.
It's funny.
No, maybe, you know what? Maybe the last time you see a championship, so maybe I should go easy on you.
Oh,
thank you.
Screen goes black. Right? And on that
I got your boycott. There you go. You want the smoke? I got smoke for you. I got some smoke for you.
Tune in next week because we will be going. We will definitely be going at the AFC. We're bringing in the AFC. Definitely culminated with my man Nate talking about the AFC North, talking about his Baltimore Ravens. Wow.
Let's go.
And you already see the smoke. You already see what's coming. So tune in for that because it's going to be live. It's going to be loud and good. So, appreciate y'all taking the time to watch. You know the name. It's Sean Spencer. I got with me to my right, Nicholas.
Hey, it's Nick Rosario, and I'm not for the record, I'm not an Andy Dalton fan.
I like how he's got to
Wow.
set the record.
Right.
Not a fan of the signing, just for the record.
Delilah Crespo
Delilah.
down here.
Hey, look, listen, I'm excited about basketball right now. I know we're talking about football, but I'm excited about March Madness. UConn is moving to the Final Four again. Like those women, Gino got healthy, right? He doesn't have COVID, so he's with the team again. That was exciting for them to have their coach. So UConn is the first team for the women's side to move on to the Final Four. I lost track of the guys. That was that team that went that was kind of skewed towards Nick was saying before we started the show. But yeah, excited about March Madness. Who makes to the Final Four in the men's and women's tournament? So let's see what happens. Maybe a Cinderella team will win.
Out to them. And under me, the other man that wants to smoke, Nathan Snell.
Yes. Yes, this is Nathan Snell. Thank you for allowing me to be on the show. Just so you know, I don't back away from any smoke.
Yeah.
In the time and place, I will show up.
Let's get it. Let's get
right.
it. He said I want it in the cage.
These are three great people to talk sports with. So at the end of the day, it's all love and it's all love and these are four great diehard football fans.
Let's go.
I will. Chicago's on my list because again, I love Chicago because I love Uno's Pizza.
Thank you.
There we
Thank
go.
you, babe.
There we go. Hey, and as Delilah mentioned, the men's tournament, Houston won 67-61 over Oregon State. So Houston will be moving on to the Final Four. Shout out to them for sure. Got to shout out my man Nate. I see you got the Terrapins on. Shout out both.
I want to give a shout out to my Lady Terps. It was a disappointing loss against Texas, but Brenda Freeze, she's doing great things with that with those girls, and I think all of them are all because they can get another year. Because last year, so she's going to get most of them back. Disappointed with the men. I don't know if this will be Mark Turgeon's last year, but the men's team exceeded a lot of expectations. So the ceiling has been now raised higher. So I'm hoping to see what Maryland does. For Towson, this was the school I go to. One of our girls, she declared for the WNBA draft. So I'm looking for her.
Congratulations. Hope she makes it. Hope she makes it in.
Definitely. Now I'm not gonna bring this up to you because we gotta go. But my fiance is diehard Michigan State, and she also loves Juwan Howard in Michigan. And I don't know if you saw that game in the Big Ten conference tournament where Juwan Howard and Turgeon kind of looked.
I saw that. That didn't bother me at all. I know what Juwan Howard is. I've seen Juwan Howard. When he was when he was with the Wizards, known as the Bullets. Yeah. Listen. He's from Detroit. Mark Turgeon. He said something Mark Turgeon didn't like, and Mark Turgeon was not ready for. But Mark Turgeon stood his ground, though. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he was sweating bullets.
Right. He stood there. Right. He stood there, and they were holding Juwan back. But I ain't gonna do that to him. Shout out to the men's and women's Maryland basketball teams. Definitely doing great things, man. And you already know where I support, but we're not going to talk about that right now because March is over for us. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to leave you. This is Let's Talk Football at Roundtable. We will see you next week. Peace, guys.
All right, bye, guys. Good night.
See you all later.